kind of going through this, and what I did here is when we're looking at this and we're looking at these Th1, these T cells that are responding initially to this pathogenic burden right here, step one, you're going to see the interferon gamma kind of go up in this initial sort of response here. And as kind of things go on here, so you'll see this initial augmentation to the infection. And then eventually, as it goes over to memory cells, you'll start to see the interferon gamma drop down a little bit. So we can measure this with the testing that we're doing with the ELISpot testing. And you're going to be able to see some interesting things. You're going to be able to see the initial augmentation of interferon gamma and then how much interleukin-2 there is in relationship to the interferon gamma. And the initial infection, you'll see one go up. And then as time goes on, there's a little bit of a lag there. Interleukin-2 will kind of start to go up right behind it. So right here, you start to see the interferon go down as you kind of see the infection start to resolve a little bit. You'll see this drop down a little bit. This drop up, go up a little bit more. The interleukin-2 will start to go up a little bit more in relationship to interferon gamma going down. So you'll be able to see these with each infection as we go through some of the tests here in a little bit, as we skip down to like some examples. And you'll be able to see the relationship between these two and say, okay, are we initially dealing with this response? At what stage are we at in regards to the response? And then has it recovered? And it's really interesting because as you look at recovery, sometimes you recover down here and the immune system is just completely exhausted. Sometimes it's in an ongoing stage of not recovering appropriately. And that's one of the beauties of the test because it tells you how the immune system is struggling with some of these infectious or, with some of the infections that you're dealing with. And as we go through this a little bit further and we start to look at why people aren't recovering the right way or why the immune system is exhausted, you can start to plug in some of the other things that you use in what you do day to day on a clinical basis. So if you deal with people that are chronically ill and they have environmental exposures and it's causing their immune system to be exhausted and they can't deal with an infection or it's recurrent and it's coming back over and over and over again. So you're seeing interferon gamma go up, but they aren't creating any interleukins to this and they're just not resolving these infections. It's great to be able to see the resurgence of this, it not resolving, and then the immune system eventually either being exhausted or having the resilience to bounce back and it's doing its thing. And you see in row one here, that's your peak antigen response. And then you see in two, you see the decline phase where the interferon gamma is decreasing. Interleukin-2 starts to now appear. And this is your frontline effector function, and you're rebuilding the long-term programming of that response. And so you're either going to reprogram or you're really not. And that can be a big glitch in people that keep dealing with recurrent infections. And I'll get to in a second, I'll talk about just basic immunoglobulins. Immunoglobulins will look and say, okay, well, there's been something here and there's a memory of that. We like an IgG immunoglobulin, but it doesn't really tell you how the immune system is fluctuating and dealing with that infection over time. That's the beauty of this. So if you have an immunoglobulin response here, we start looking at these more functional tests and we can see how you're doing along that time frame. Is there a reinfection? Is there a problem with clearing it? Is the immune system just completely exhausted? Again, one of the beauties of the test. So then you go a little bit down here, and this is all the way down to 3, and this is your low antigen recovery. You have minimal interferon gamma because you're not dealing with the initial response here. And then we start shifting more to an interleukin, sort of a dominant memory T cell phase because you've already processed the infection. And now you're saying, okay, we remember that. We're going to deal with it and we'll deal with it better later on, assuming you have a good response. And then all the way down to 4 is where you have resolution. You have low antigens. As this thing starts to recover, you have low antigens, lower interleukin-2, low interferon gamma. And that's just sort of showing that you went through the whole response and it's kind of starting to resolve a little bit now. And that's right down here. So interferon, I think this is one of the important concepts to see. You see the interferon gamma response. So you have your peak infection, now you're dealing with it with interferon.